Hi, I'm Dr. Christine Hanlon from the University of Central Florida, here to do a little storytelling today about territoriality in the United States. So many of us live in neighborhoods, suburbia in the United States, and we have yards. So we had an issue in our neighborhood that happened, about 10 years ago. So I'm happy to talk about it now because we have different neighbors. 10 years ago, maybe not so much. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with you, show you a little graph so we can tell the story. Let's see, this is just clip art. It's not actually my neighborhood, but here we have 1, 2, 3 houses. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to annotate a little bit on the screen if it will let me. There we go. So here's house number 1. Let me change that color. There we go. House number 1, house number 2, and house number 3. So demonstration purposes, we're just going to say that house number 1 is mine. Okay. House number 2 is a neighbor of mine, super nice people. The dad works full time. He works really hard, and he doesn't really care too much about his lawn. Doesn't care. Doesn't have a lawn service. He has a regular push mower, doesn't like to mow lawn. His wife usually is the one who gets him outside to go push the lawnmower. His lawn's usually not looking really great. It's usually a little bit long. And then we've got house number 3 here, which is our neighbor who is a stay-at-home dad who obsesses over the lawn. Like, he is all about the yard. He's constantly looking for dollar weed, and he is all about the lawn. He has a perfect lawn. It's like the HOA, the homeowners association, like perfect lawn every month. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And then we've got my house. So I'm house number 1, and we don't have a great lawn. It's okay. My husband has this massive, huge Husqvarna lawnmower. It's a riding lawnmower, way too big for our yard, but that's what it is. He likes to ride the lawnmower, but he doesn't necessarily like to mow the lawn. He doesn't really care if he has weeds or whatever. But I take care of the flower beds. Like, that's my job. But anyway, so that's how these houses are kind of organized in terms of the way they think about their lawns. And usually, if you've ever mowed a lawn, you know that you always want to pay attention to where your line is for your property. That's very important. Usually there's like a little marker on the sidewalk that indicates where your property line is. And usually it's something like this, right? So this would be my house, and this would be my property line. And this would probably be their property line. I can tell because of the way they've mowed the lawn already. And then we've got that one there. So these are the different house lots, right? So when you mow the lawn, you go all the way up to your house lot, and then you mow the lawn right to that line. That is normal in the United States. Now, house number 3, the stay-at-home dad, he gets upset because house number 2 is not mowing the lawn, and it's gotten pretty long, like really long. And it's about a foot long, and it's really weedy, and it's not looking good. And it's starting to affect house number 3, the stay-at-home dad's lawn. Like, it's starting to encroach. These weeds are coming over, and he's not happy about this. So him and my husband have this conversation one day of, ha, maybe we should just mow his lawn for him. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. That's offensive. Like, that's not okay. And then where does that go? You're going to end up mowing his lawn every month because the guy doesn't care. He'd be like, yeah, sure, mow my lawn. I don't care. Right. And so, like, well, that's not going to solve the problem. So house number 3, what he decides to do, let me take off these property lines here. What he decides to do is he's going to mow his lawn. He's like, I'm going to mow my lawn today. And he goes to my husband, you should mow your lawn too. And house number 3 goes to mow his lawn. And he mows his lawn normal over on this side to his property line, right? But then over here, he goes all the way up to the house. And so we've got huge grass here, and it's all nice and mowed here. And over on this side, it's still kind of a mess. And my husband hasn't mowed lawn. So my husband takes out his lawnmower, and he's like, I'm going to mow my lawn too. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mow my lawn normal here on the property line. And then I'm going to mow my lawn here. So there's this little strip of grass. It's huge. It's long and messy and weedy. And then this is all mowed. And so they've got this little strip of grass. So the wife comes home first, and she sees this, and she's irate. She goes in the house. You can tell she is not happy. Like, she is upset. they have offended her. And I'm like, oh no, this is bad. And I'm watching from the window. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go outside. I don't want to be any part of this. This is bad, right? This is bad. So then the husband comes home. He doesn't even notice anything. Like he walks in the house like nothing. He's like, no big deal. He doesn't even notice the lawn. And you hear some yelling. And all of a sudden he's outside and he is not happy. You can tell he's putting on his gloves and putting on his ear protection, and he's going out and he's mowing the lawn. What little lawn he has. So territoriality, it is an issue in the United States. So we do have these issues about where our property lines are. And when you mow the lawn, you clearly know this. Anybody who's mowed a lawn has very clearly understood, this is where I mow the lawn, this is where the lines are. And that is clearly a concept of territoriality, which is a nonverbal concept in communication. And so we definitely have this in the United States. It's not just like a foreign concept. We experience this all of the time. When I was in college, my roommate used to initial her eggs, and that is a form of territoriality. Like, wait, I'm not stealing your eggs. What is that about? I don't know. Maybe you have roommates who do things like that too. People who put stickers on the or tape on the floor to mark their area. Or maybe you've had a sibling where you've done that as well. I've heard lots of stories about siblings who have territoriality issues. But that is clearly an example of territoriality in suburban America. We do have issues with lawn mowing and how we are conversing with our neighbors. Luckily, everything worked out. Everybody kind of laughed about it at the end. But then after that, the neighbor was a lot more diligent about mowing his lawn. So it ended up working in my husband and my neighbor's favor. I don't recommend doing this though in your neighborhood, because this could be like, and if you look at YouTube, you'll see all types of, if you Google YouTube territoriality dog feces, you'll see neighbors throwing their dog feces into the other neighbor's yard and, all kinds of stuff like that. One of my friends, she flicks snakes that she finds in her pool into her neighbor's yard over the fence. And so, these don't do these things. This is not good. Be nice to your neighbors, respect their territoriality.